Hello and welcome to the GLHF YouTube channel. My name is Dave Breens, and once again I am joined by Kirk McKeand.
Brexit.
Yep, that's right. That's right. The bold Brexit boys are back at it again. No, we're not going to call ourselves that.
No, we hate Brexit.
I already
take it back. I feel bad about it.
Yeah, I feel bad about it already. It didn't feel good to joke about. Anyway.
It's because we're here to talk about Helldivers 2, which is all about that patriotism, right?
It is. And I'm feeling incredibly patriotic today because I let down some explosions last night. And is there anything more patriotic than that?
Brexit.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, just messing your whole country up.
Yeah.
What's more patriotic than that?
It's true. And nothing could make me mess a country up more than either patriotism or religion, you know?
Or trade unions.
Yeah.
Like, let's get patriotic. Sorry, I'm ranting about Brexit. I'll stop.
Okay, so we played Helldivers a little bit, haven't we?
We have. We shot the bugs and we shot the robots.
Oh yeah, the robots are pretty tough.
The robots mostly shot us, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, it was harsh. I've reviewed Helldivers. I've been playing more of it, and well, that's kind of my first takeaway. I've continued playing it after finishing the review, and not specifically just for guides, but just to play with friends, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, I think it's Sony's first big live service game. Definitely bigger than they expected it to be, as you can see from all the server issues. A lot of people are spending more time on menus than in the game, but once you're actually playing it, it's really good. And I think a lot of that is down to how it actually simulates everything that's happening in the battlefield. Like in a lot of games, you've got hit scan weapons and that sort of thing. In this, every bullet flies to its destination, and you can see those tracer rounds pinging around at night time. Like if you lay down and your mate's got a machine gun and they're shooting bugs over your head, that fires just directly over your head. And if you stand up, it's in the back of your head. And if it hits like a carapace or something and bounces off, it'll ricochet through your skull and kill you, which is brilliant. And you die from their explosions and everything. And there's so much happening at once. And it's just guns, and bombs, but it's the best guns and bombs in a third-person shooter I've ever played, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like all of that has helped, but I want to say it feels heavy and weighty and grounded, but those all sound like buzzwords. So it's give some context to what I mean. Obviously, like you said, there's the projectile weapons, which definitely help. But for example, there's a dive, and when you do a dive, you just sort of swan dive forward and land however you land. And if you land weirdly on a rock, you will just ragdoll off the side, like some hilarious clips I've seen online of real people taking a tumble, you know. And it feels so, I don't know, a lesser game like maybe Call of Duty would have just had you clip off the box or off the rock and just slide onto the floor cleanly. In this game, everything feels so determined on the terrain and your footholds almost.
Yeah, it's they cared about the physics is the thing, right? And it almost turns it into a slapstick comedy generator.
Sure.
As you see your friend fly off in the distance because you fucking trip them over with the radius of a grenade or something, or you splattered them into pieces with your drop pod or whatever it is.
Yeah. And something I didn't appreciate early on, because when explosions happen and bombs drop, clouds of smoke erupt, and it's tough to ascertain exactly what's happening, especially when you've got a legion of bugs or whatever on your tail and you're trying to deal with them. And sometimes it can be disorientating. However, last night I was very clearly watching a research base that me and a friend were tasked to destroy. I watched him drop the hell bomb, and the terrain really did transform. Actually being able to see a before and after instead of running around getting chased by bugs in the meantime. I was kind of struck at how again dynamic it made the battlefield feel, you know.
Yeah, and I like how hectic it is because it's meant to be a war zone, you know. And people keep bringing up Starship Troopers, and that's for good reason, right? Because the battles in that, they're messy, you know. There's bug juice everywhere, and you get that in this as well, don't you? You get covered in green goop when you fight in close quarters and stuff. One thing it does that I really appreciate as well is I think how it handles reticle placement in a third-person shooter, because when you've got a heavier gun, it takes a while for the actual reticle to snap to where you're aiming. So like because it's weightier, it takes him longer to swing the gun round, and it means you've got to really think about lining your shots up rather than like twitching between targets, which I think is a really cool addition to a shooter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel in pretty much every shooter, it's like if you crouch or you go prone, your accuracy or recoils like decrease slightly, you get slightly better. But it's like actually a massive change in Helldivers. I only noticed recently that like all of the armor pieces, if you hold R2, you actually get a breakdown of like stats. Who knew the armor pieces had stats? There are actually like several levels to like the stamina regen, stamina capacity, and your armor power overall. And I when I was combining that with like the boosters I've been looking at, and then like specific stratagems, I was like, there's actually space here to make proper builds, not just say, oh, I like this armor and I like this weapon, I'm going to keep using that, but like actual, like for example, if you're using exactly a very heavy armor and combine that with the jump pack, suddenly you got a level of mobility while also having like the big defenses. And like my brain started like going to places like there's actually like a really good range of like different play styles to adopt, even though at first at least you're fairly limited on the equipment selection. As that broadens out, I'm like, oh yeah, there's space to actually like be unique and experiment here.
I've not really seen the depth in the builds and stuff, but even though it takes a while to unlock everything, you've got to give props to the devs for like letting you actually unlock it. You know, you can earn premium currency by playing the game. You know, it takes longer than it would if you threw like 50 quid at it or whatever, but I appreciate that you can actually earn that stuff through the game, and it doesn't feel like it's gouging you. You know, it just feels like you're rewarded for the time you spend playing the game, which is how it should be for a live service game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And also there is a premium currency. There are super credits that you can use to purchase things from the superstore, but the superstore is actually very, very limited. Like there's only like 4 items available at a time, and as of yet, you know, early days, there hasn't been like any like ridiculously expensive items. You can collect super credits in game, thank God, because it's a premium game. You can collect them from like a treasure chest on maps. And after actually having a look at it and like adding that up, I've probably earned about like £6 to £7 of premium currency, which I've spent on like several armor pieces, which is not bad considering, as I said, I haven't actually paid for premium currency myself, you know. And when you combine that with the warband system, which you can only unlock through medals, which are earned by playing missions, it feels like it does encourage actually going in and playing the game and not just like paying your way to getting everything you want, you know.
Yeah, totally. Another thing I want to shout out, actually, is totally off topic, but the voice work in the game is really good. Like the way the soldiers shout out their war cries and stuff, that adds to the like comedy of it as well. And like your boy Yuri Lowenthal screaming "my leg" and then getting cut off because he's dead, you know, is perfect. Like perfectly cut screams, you know. Yeah,
genuinely, I was playing the other day and I heard Yuri scream some crap, and I said to my friend while playing, I was like, "Yo, that's my man Yuri. We had him on the podcast the other day."
Just name dropping.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, it's great. And even one of the silly NPCs that are on your ship barely do anything. One of the voice lines they drop is like, "I just turned the clocks back 1 hour for freedom savings time." Freedom savings time. Yeah, like it. And there's adverts that play on the ship as well, which are just really, really silly, similar to like the intro cutscene. And I feel like it all helps give this atmosphere of like just having fun and not taking things too seriously.
I've seen clips of players like leaning into it and shouting their own like democratic lines and stuff as well. It's quite funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember my first mission was like to just plant a flag or something, and like a couple of random people jumped into the squad, and while the flag was being planted, they were like saluting, standing to attention and stuff. And also, I want to say that the fact that the game doesn't have any PvP has so far for me made playing with randoms like a really positive experience.
Yeah, and that's wild in a game where friendly fire is turned on like all the time.
Yep.
You know, if you play if you've ever played hardcore Call of Duty, there's always that one guy who team kills or whatever. And in this, everyone like works together, even though there's no real punishment other than like losing your respawns for killing each other. But people don't do it on purpose, or they don't tend to anyway, in my experience.
I have had a couple of incidents. I think I might have accidentally killed a guy. I might have accidentally killed a guy at the end of one mission and extracted without him. And at the end of the next mission, he might have tried to purposely kill me for it.
That seems democratic to me.
What's less democratic, or maybe is the definition of democratic, is the fact that the party leader can kick people, no one else can. So I abused that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but yeah, as I said, surprisingly positive. Most of the people that I've jumped in and played with, like the rare times I use my PS5 controller to shout something at them, they are like responsive and appreciative, and they emote back to me and stuff. Like, it's been surprisingly good, and it's not a game I would recommend playing without friends, but you can. I wouldn't say you could play it solo. That's the difficulty doesn't really get adjusted if you're going by yourself to a mission.
Can we talk about that difficulty before we wrap it up, actually?
Yeah, we probably should, yeah.
Because some of the mission types with the robots are just insane. Like, they're just relentless. I know it's meant to be that way, but like, they're just relentless. And like, if you haven't unlocked all the stratagems and stuff, it's just, it seems impossible, honestly.
Yeah. So I think it might have been slightly adjusted. I feel like it's a little bit easier than it used to be. However, as I said, I was playing with my friend, and he tried to play by himself when he first started. He jumped into a mission. He was like, "Oh, the new robots are apparently new. I'll jump in with those." Of course, he could only do trivial missions for his first mission, but there weren't that many robot missions at the time, so the only one was the escort 30 hostages.
Oh dear.
That's one of the hardest ones, and he could not understand why they wouldn't stop dropping, and he couldn't keep up with the amount. He hadn't unlocked any sentries or anything. He was getting destroyed, and the bug missions far easier. Like, even as like a level 3 or 4, you can jump into a challenging mission and still contribute to the team. But
I felt like with the automatons as well, like that extract hostages thing, I didn't have a clue what I was supposed to be doing there, because I didn't get a moment's like respite, you know. There was no time to breathe. I was just under assault constantly, and dropships would come in. I'm like, what hostages?
Yeah. I don't think it's very clear at all like where you're supposed to escort from and to. When you get to the place, like a door opens, but that doesn't mean, oh yeah, this is where I'm supposed to get them to. That doesn't indicate that. And then you have to like run around the level to try and figure out where the buttons are to open the doors which spawn hostages. And then it's not clear that they respawn after a amount of time. You have to go back and press the button again. Yeah.
They need to tweak that mission type for sure.
A little bit more signposting, like here's the objective, here's where you can get the hostages from. That would change it up.
I understand why they didn't go that way as well, because the game's pretty open. Like, you choose where you drop in, you choose how to approach the mission, and I think that kind of adds an extraction shootery kind of element to it, even though it's not really an extraction shooter. It's just nice to have that freedom of approach, and like the side stuff you can do along the way and that sort of thing. And obviously, the longer you spend in a mission, the harder it gets. So there's a risk-reward mechanic there as well, which I think is really cool. But yeah, a little bit more signposting on specific mission types wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, me again realized only recently that there are certain side objectives in the missions. When you complete those side objectives, it actually marks all points of interest on your map. So when we did that first in one of the missions, suddenly we were like zigzagging from point of interest to point of interest while going to our main objectives, collecting a lot of materials along the way. And plenty of ammo and stuff, but also suddenly, for the first time, it felt like the mission timer was bearing down on us. We were like, oh no, you know?
Yeah, and then like some of that's not clear as well. Like, we filled up that artillery cannon with shells, and like, what does that do? I have no idea.
I know now. You actually get a stratagem to launch off the exact ammo that you put in it.
Well, that's nice.
It is. Like, you get the ammo in order. Like, you get like a chaff or an EMS or whatever. Like, it does work, but again, it didn't really explain that. And since we work in writing guides and stuff, I'm often looking at Google Trends, seeing what people are searching, and often people are searching like, how do I do this thing? And often the answer is, when you get there, a unique stratagem becomes available. It's just not clear enough.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that will be solved over time as the community figures it out, because the Souls games, the community comes together, figures it out, and that's part of the fun. So maybe it will be here as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry to bring up Souls. That's very, very, very game journalist of me.
Isn't it?
But I feel like there's a kind of the heart of that here, in how the community is figuring things out, and also how the community interacts with each other. You know, there's a sense of honor, if that makes sense, you know, and like the emotes and everything, it all builds towards like everyone's in character, it feels like, when they're playing this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the characters are fun-loving, bullet-happy, trigger-happy little wanks. But that's good.
I think that's perfect. That's the perfect way to end it. Fun, happy little wanks.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna finish off. Thank you very much, Kirk. Bye.
Goodbye.